You know, when most people look at MercadoLibre, they see a big e-commerce company, kind of like the Amazon of Latin America. But if that's all you see, you're missing the real jaw-dropping story here. What we're actually watching is the construction of a digital fortress, one designed to completely dominate the Latin American consumer economy. So let's break down the blueprint for this incredible operation.
Okay, but before we dive into the crazy growth, I want to show you a number that would make most investors run for the hills. We're talking about a huge drop in their operating margins. Now, on the surface, that looks like a massive red flag, right? A sign that the company is losing its way. But what if I told you this is actually part of a brilliant, calculated plan? To get how they can even afford to do this, you first have to see the winning number.
So how can they take that margin hit? Well, this is how. Just look at this absolutely explosive growth in their biggest markets. We're talking nearly 46% in Brazil and a staggering 52% in Mexico. That's not just market leadership, folks. That is a full-blown cash-generating machine that's funding their next huge move.
And here's the real kicker. They're not just growing the top line, they're becoming wildly more profitable at their core. A nearly 116% jump in income from operations, that shows you they have all the financial firepower they need to reinvest. This isn't a sign of weakness at all. It's the engine for their entire expansion.
So, we've seen the mind-boggling numbers, but now let's get into the machine that actually makes it all work. See, the secret isn't just one product. It's a perfectly designed ecosystem, a kind of flywheel that just gains more and more momentum with every single transaction.
So what exactly is a business ecosystem? Well, it's basically a network where every service makes all the other services more valuable. Each part feeds the next, creating this self-reinforcing loop that just gets stronger and stickier over time. And here it is, the Meli flywheel in action. It's just a perfect, beautiful loop. You buy something on the marketplace, which then drives business to their logistics network. That whole thing is settled through their payment system, Mercado Pago. And this is the genius part, that money sitting in the seller's account becomes the foundation for loans and credit. It's a closed loop that's incredibly hard to break out of.
And that brings us to the most ambitious part of their entire strategy. See, the e-commerce platform, that was just the beginning. The real endgame is the complete reinvention of banking in Latin America, and it's all being funded by their super high-margin advertising and commerce businesses.
It's honestly amazing when you think about it. Mercado Pago, this financial behemoth, it started as just a button, a simple little tool to make buying stuff on their own platform a little bit easier. From that tiny, humble beginning, a financial giant has emerged.
Just look at what that simple payment button has become. It's not a feature anymore. It's a full-service digital bank. They're doing everything: credit cards, loans for merchants and for you and me, asset management, insurance, you name it. They're capturing the entire financial life of their users, both on and off their marketplace. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The company itself is broadcasting the incredible speed of this takeover. Over 1 million credit cards issued in a single quarter. $1 billion in transaction volume for the first time. This isn't just business as usual. This is a land grab, and they are moving at absolute lightning speed. And this brings us right back to that scary margin drop we talked about at the beginning, because this kind of aggressive expansion costs a fortune. So when investors see those margins fall, they get spooked. They think the company's losing its financial discipline, and they sell. But that is a complete misreading of the entire play. This isn't a bug. It's a feature. They aren't losing discipline. They're aggressively investing ad profits to buy a banking monopoly. They're using the profits from their established businesses to buy something absolutely priceless, the chance to become the primary bank for an entire continent.
Which, of course, brings us to the payoff. I mean, why go through all this trouble? Why take the hit on margins? Because what they are building at the end of all this is a competitive advantage, a moat so deep and so wide that it becomes nearly impossible for anyone else to cross. So let's just ask the obvious question. If you're a competitor, how on earth do you even begin to challenge this thing? Do you launch an e-commerce site, a new payment app, a logistics company? Where do you even start?
Well, the answer is you can't really compete piece by piece. A standalone competitor has to spend a fortune acquiring customers for every single service they offer. But MercadoLibre? They just cross-sell new financial products to a massive captive audience that's already living inside their ecosystem. Each part makes the whole thing stronger and way, way cheaper to operate. So here's the bottom line. The result of this whole integrated strategy isn't just a company. It's a digital fortress. Once a consumer is inside these walls, shopping with them, shipping with them, and now banking with them, it's incredibly difficult for any competitor to ever lure them out.
And that leaves us with one final massive question to think about for the future. What happens to an entire region's economy when the dominant way people shop and the dominant way they bank become the exact same company? That is the scale of MercadoLibre's ambition, and honestly, they are well on their way to making it a reality.